We see, don't we, all that we experience is understandable as a spectrum of vibrations. There are different kinds of spectra. There's the spectrum of light, there's the spectrum of sound. We can also think of spectra of smells, of tactile feelings, of emotions, and so on all down the line. We are, as it were, living in the midst of a woven tapestry. And so on all down the line. We are, as it were, living in the midst of a woven tapestry.
Peace, peace. This is DJ OHLOW. You're tuned in to On Beat with OHLOW, coming to you live from Radio Fairfax. That's WEBR, Radio Fairfax, here in Fairfax, VA. I got a few guests in the house, man. We're going to be talking about hip-hop and who runs the hip-hop engine. I'm going to let everybody introduce yourself. To the left over here, we got my man Cliff.
Hey, what's going on, Cliff Hageman? Thanks for having me.
Peace. To your left, we got my man Kevin Scene.
Peace, world. What's good?
To your left, we got Miss Barbara.
Hello, Barbara. Nice to be here.
And to your left, we got your son,
Rambo.
Rambo. Peace. Thank you all for coming out. You know, as I was saying earlier, today we're talking about the topic of today's discussion is who runs the hip-hop engine. And if you tuned in last week, we were talking more about the music side of it, you know, the money side of it, and hip-hop as a genre. Today I want to talk more about the culture of hip-hop and what it is and who runs this culture. You know, like Barbara was saying earlier, you said this is your culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is you. And so I want to know who determines how this culture is going to end up being, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure everybody agrees that it's like out of whack right now. It's a lot different today than what it was meant to be, I believe, you know, when it was first started in the late 70s, early 80s. But go ahead. I know you had some thoughts. You wanted to talk about some stuff, so why don't you just spark it?
Well, I was just commenting earlier on how, I won't tell my age, real ladies don't do that, but I was kind of there at, you might say, the inception, and a lot of the cats that are big in the industry are actually in my age group. So I think it's interesting that this is a time in history when they're making music for maybe like their kids, like in rock and roll. Yeah, you kind of had some of that. So for me, I just feel like the whole tenor, the whole vibe, the whole purpose, you know, I started listening to like KRS-One, and so for me, when I experienced it was more about consciousness. It was more about learning about yourself, about uplifting yourself, with some rebelliousness too. I mean, it was the 80s, and a lot was going on in the streets in the 80s. So for me, that feels real different. Right now, for me, it feels very commercial. I'm not going to try to define what is an artist, like who can create art. But, you know, when you have a moment, Prince is up there with this artist and they're rehearsing, I heard, and he's like, you don't even play an instrument. So, you know, so I'll just leave that there. But I just, for me, it feels commercial.
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gone far mainstream. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people today say it's hip hop, right? Pop, like popular hip hop. It's not hip hop. I mean, that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, I mean, everyone I talk to all over the world says, yeah, it's commercial today. And everyone always says, you know, since it's gone commercial, it's gone whack. You know what I mean? And so I kind of want to get to the root of that because, you know, I know a lot of people don't know this, but Africa Bambaataa started the Zulu Nation, and it was based on the 4 pillars of hip hop, which are, anybody know? Yeah. Speak, go ahead. Anybody?
DJing, MCing, breakdancing, graffiti, and knowledge.
Exactly, yeah. And so, well, yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess that's the 5th element. You know what I'm saying? That's the obvious. That's the element of life. And I was hoping to get some breakdancers in here, but I guess they didn't show, man. Oh, yeah. That's what's up, man.
Actually, I want to jump off what Sister Barbara said. You know, it is... You know, our age group is the true hip hop. You know, like African Bambaataa, I wasn't really there. They're not who got me in. You know, Run DMC is who got me in. You know, that's my African Bambaataa. You know, I'm a white dude in the suburbs of, you know, Grand Island, New York, and I'm playing King of Rock in my little record player. Then the Beastie Boys come out, LL Cool J and all that.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Beastie Boys are the Tiger Woods of golf. You know, black people didn't watch golf. Beastie Boys brought in white folks to that hip hop. And then, you know, you mentioned, I mean, my man KRS-One, I mean, he literally had an impact on my life.
I think he had an impact on everybody.
He had an impact on my
Mr.
life.
Soldier.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
And what's so great about that is you mentioned Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation. You know, KRS-One has the Temple of Hip Hop. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that same type of thing. And what is so bananas about it is that it truly brings all different races together, which is what I love about the hip hop culture, right? I mean, you go to a heavy metal concert, I mean, yeah, you have that same stereotypical people at that country, same thing there.
Yeah.
But in hip hop, I mean, you go down to the 930 Club. I mean, I brought my kid to see Mos Def at the 930
Yeah,
Club. I
that's
brought my
what's up.
12-year-old son up in there, and people were like bugging, like, yo, you brought your kid, man. He
Yeah.
was loving it. They had some clowns opening
And
up
see,
for him, but, you
and
know.
look, so like you said, Mos Def and 930 Club, and it's gone so far. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
It's in the past 30 years, like it's changed so much because, like you said, what I got from hip hop as a kid, and I grew up in the same era that you did. You know, like I was thinking about it today, and I was like, yo,
EPMD. What?
yeah, exactly,
Come on,
yeah.
those
I was
boys.
trying to figure out like who's the first artist that I was really digging as a kid, and I think it was LL Cool J, Run DMC.
Cool
You know what I
J,
mean? It
that's
was around
dope.
that time.
Right.
And so I don't know, man. Like I said, man, it's a lot different today than what it used to be, man. But
then you jump on that. Is everything's money. So, right,
Yeah.
when Run DMC was talking
Became
about my
commercial.
Adidas, they didn't make
Yeah.
$1 from Adidas. They were
Yeah.
just rocking my Adidas. They were just, you know, LL, I can't live without my radio.
Yeah.
Now, today, you got Jay-Z talking about Tom Ford getting him paid. I mean,
Yeah,
he's getting
exactly,
paid.
yeah.
And so it's all
about endorsements
money.
now, yeah.
It's all
It's all
endorsements, you know, and that's what's sad about it because, you know, they took something that's popular. They took something, man, we can make money at this. And, you know, that I think that goes to like the NWAs. You know, when NWA started
Yeah.
making real money with this, and then you get, you know, that was probably one of the first white men in hip hop besides Rick Rubin,
Yeah.
right? Of the greed, the Jewish people, you know, start coming in, and man, we can make money at this, and bam, we lost our
that was early
culture.
'90s.
That was
we
exactly
lost
it, yeah.
we lost our culture.
Yeah, exactly.
You
yeah.
know?
But that, you know, I think that's when it became something from the streets to where an executive, because after NWA, it went nationwide.
Yeah.
And you had a
Because it got out to the
clones.
suburbs.
It did,
Right.
It did, and once they figured out how to, you could make money off of it.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you had all these other groups that weren't the same caliber as NWA. You know, I'm not gonna name names, but
Yeah,
they,
I know.
Name
they dropped-
names.
yeah, South Central Cartel, all these groups that came out trying
Yeah.
to follow the clone of that just to make money. And you know, you wonder like, you know, did you do that for you, or was that the record execs telling you? Because it was like, oh no, this is Capitol's version of NWA.
Yeah.
This is this company's, this record company's version
Correct.
of this, to try and build off ride that wave. And it's
And
been
it's
doing that
funny,
ever since.
Because before that point, I don't think there was a genre of rap. Was there? Like, I think it wasn't until that point that it became an actual
It was
genre.
always-
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
I remember definitely like in 1987, I was in Colorado. I saw NWA, but in the same show, I saw Run DMC was there, and it was a mix. It wasn't just a West Coast or a gangster rap show. It was rap. It was hip hop. You know, and that's what it was. I mean, even though it was a sea of people, all
Yeah.
different cultures, everybody there. Like my whole class was there with me. You know, and I was Latin kids, white kids, everybody, and we was loving it. You know,
what's up.
I was 10 years old, and it was just the biggest thing in my life. But after that, that's when you started seeing the clones come in.
Right.
You know,
right.
and it was a money.
And they
that
haven't
was a
left.
scheme. They haven't
They
left.
haven't
Still,
left.
yeah. It's still the same thing.
Rambo.
Me personally, I feel as though let's not act like it's the end of the world. You know, this was just hip hop originally started as a resource for people to voice their frustrations and put their opinions out there in a setting that was in their own neighborhood. It never started for money. But just like with any mental property, it's eventually going to be taken, you know, and used for to make
exactly.
money. But the good thing about mental properties is it all comes from us, comes from us people. So they can take that. They can take that. We're always going to be coming up with something else.
Yeah, that's
know?
true talk.
Definitely.
And it's like,
Yeah, right.
you know, like it definitely has changed from age group to age group. And what was real hip hop to you guys, you feel me, when I was younger, when I was your age, that when what was going on with me, with Diddy and Biggie and everything was out there, and Tupac was at his height, that was real hip hop for me. For some little kid that's that age now, that's listening to Soulja Boy and Lil Wayne, that's real hip hop for them. But I do agree with you, the quality of the music has been taken down for greed. But it's just up to the youth, because that's who started it before, to just create something else that's gonna be for them.
You know, at the end of last week's show, El Betta, I think he summed it up perfectly, where he was saying it was the youth. It went both ways. It was youth, and then it was the execs. You know, they have to find out who's hot to make somebody kind of what the people are saying. Then they take it, and it becomes this demon, or it becomes this monster, and then people turn away from it when it becomes too popular. And it's just that ebb and flow that happens, and that's why you come up with, like you just said, Soulja Boy.
Yeah, but
at first that was hip hop. I mean, really, in its essence, that was a hip hop movement because he came out of nowhere. But then, you know, it just went.
I just want to, if I may, to what Rambo said. Here's the difference, though. You know, when I was coming up, you know, You Gots to Chill, Can't Live Without My Radio. I mean, that's not her name. Jams, Gangstar stuff, like titles that, you know, my mom could hear that. I could play that with my parents. Now my kid is sex. I mean, at 12 years old, hip hop is sex and drugs and blingy bling bling and money and BIT this. And I mean, you have destroyed a culture. So yeah, our child that we saw raise, you know, that's why on XM I'm on backspin. I don't mess with this the new Soulja Boy stuff. That's not hip hop to me. Does it classify in the hip hop genre? Sure. Remember when ringtones were going berserk because everyone was making money off of ringtones? So they were calling that hip hop. And you know, and that is, so what I'm saying is, what are you putting into our kids' minds today? Because when we get back to the teacher, KRS-One, that guy gave me knowledge. Like, he gave me consciousness, right? Self-destruction, like all that stuff, like where we are as a people. What are we doing in our life? And now what are we talking about?
I mean, I would love to open up that door, because that's one of my questions I have with my friends all the time, is that who makes that decision?
Kick in the door.
Hey, can you pull that mic?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, who makes that decision to where it's saying that, I remember reading that story on the internet a couple months back where they were saying the record exec was like, we're going to promote this negative gangster, this, that, that it's going to destroy the culture, destroy because,
MK Ultra.
Okay, right? And then who, you know, like, because Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul's, made all this great music.
There you go.
Were broke. Living in their mother's house. All this great music, made all this money for the record companies, living in the house, but then you have, I keep going back to NWA, which at the time was necessary. But it spawned this whole genre of this negativity, you know, which brought forth Common, you know what I'm saying, and him beefing and bringing up the hip hop story and all that.
But what I'm getting at on what Rambo said is, like, our generation didn't cause me to, on my subconscious, that I have a chance of going to jail. These things today fill prisons, you know. I got to tote a gun. I'm gonna slap you. I'm gonna do all that.
I mean,
you remember Schoolie D?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
To me, he was a gangster. He was like the first gangster rapper that I remember, to where I was kind of like, I'm thinking on the side, and me and my homie was like, hey, we could do that.
I mean, there was a few back then, man.
There was, but it wasn't popular.
It wasn't popular. That's what it is.
Maker,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Because look, I'm not gonna front, man. I don't know if you guys remember, but when you guys remember Tim Dog?
Tim Dog,
when Tim Dog came out, I was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Because like he kind of
short, huh?
I mean, even too short,
like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah, that was like late '80s, yeah,
nuts.
exactly. Tim Dog was actually a little bit later. That was like '92 or something.
Yeah.
But to me, like, I wasn't really into that hardcore gangster, you know what I'm saying? But when Tim Dog, because he was a New York rapper, you know what I mean? And back then, I only listened to New York hip hop. And so when he came out, I was like, whoa, there's like a whole nother side. And then I didn't really listen to NWA and stuff like that at all. I knew about them. My cousin, you know, used to listen to that stuff, but I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't like a West Coast kind of kid. But, you know, what I got out of hip hop being a kid, this goes back to what Barbara was saying, is like, you know, I didn't have much growing up. You know what I'm saying? It was just me and my mom, and she was never around. So hip hop to me was like an outlet for poor people. You know what I'm saying? It gave power to the powerless, basically. You know what I mean? And when I used to see things like people DJing, like Africa Bambaataa brought turntables out to the streets, you know, for the community, and they didn't charge people. They just partied. You know what I'm saying? They had a good time. And it wasn't even like partying like today. Now it's all about drugs and sex and alcohol. They just got together and they would build. You know what I mean? And he would teach other people how to DJ. And that's how these things came to be. He would teach people how to break, and they would do art together. And he made it like a community thing. And that's what I got out of it too, man. And I think that's why, you know, I think about this now that I'm older. I'm like, yo, why do I push so hard to build this community? You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is, because I was instilled with the right movement, the right hip hop movement. You know what I'm saying? But it changed, like you said, when it went commercial, everything went downhill.
Done.
And that's the thing is, like, I mean, I guess, you know, money does whatever you want it to do. You know what I'm saying? You can't blame the money. It's the person behind it. And so that's what I want to get to, man, because I want to know, like, realistically, like, all right, so culture is the arts and the other manifestations of the human intellectual achievements regarded collectively, right? And people always say hip-hop culture, like hip-hop is a culture. And I guess, again, it goes back to the Zulu Nation, because they're the ones that said, all right, if you follow these rules, if you follow, you know, if these are the 4 pillars of hip-hop, if you follow this, and this is considered hip-hop. But who's the keepers today? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, who keeps the laws, or who regulates today? You know what I'm saying? Who says, like, yo, these laws apply today, and this is what we need to do? Does anybody know?
Yeah, well, I just want to say, I mean, building on that, it's like, I think the difference between then and now was the chance for getting endorsement, and commercialization wasn't there.
Yeah.
It just wasn't there. And so then you get on to a culture. That's one thing I'll get to. But as an artist, you know, like, I don't know, well, I guess I'm a hip-hop artist. I mean, I'm not a rapper or MC, but it's what I want to do with my art. And as specifically, let me speak just like what I know, acting. So as I'm working around the field, like, you know, there's artists, and then there's people who, you know, they just want to go to TV.
Yes.
And I think the difference is that art is a craft. You know what I mean? Like you look at people in the industry, like, this is the first time I've ever seen Samuel Jackson do a commercial, and I'm like, what is going on?
Right.
De Niro, he doesn't do that, you know. And so
James Earl Jones.
Yeah, but even in my field, so there came a time, just kind of like comparing historically, where back in the day, you know, you talk to people like Denzel, and he's like, we didn't do it because that was something different. Now when I go out there, they're like, oh, you've been in acting school, come on and learn how to sell these medicines and learn how to do this and that. So that's one thing that we didn't have to contend with. But I think as an artist, you know, for me, whether I'm an MC or not, there's always a choice to be made. And even while I'm creating, like you're creating, me and Rambo were just talking, and, you know, he played this song. He's like, I don't know, which way do I go? Do I go with what's in? Do I go with what's in my heart? And that's a decision. But also, just to throw out, and I'll shut up real quick, is the idea of culture. So being an anthropologist, I got to do everything. but I am one of my soul. I'm a storyteller. So when you look at, like, just put that in a moment, we had the whole thing with Bush, and then we had the whole thing with NWA and the FBI. And then I look at what went down in the arts with W, where he just cut off the arts.
Yes.
But when we look in history, like we had Da Vinci, Michelangelo. See, I think what people forget about the arts in general, that is back in history, these were your healers. These were your scientists. Yeah. To me, the role of the artist is the rebel. It's the person that looks at society, and whatever your art is, you flick it back. You raise the consciousness, whatever you're doing. And it feels to me like, especially with W on, you look at these schools, and there's been a movement to just like, so when you're talking about
to dumb people down.
Yeah. So you're talking about, I'm hearing this word culture, and I'm like, well, if I was like somebody trying to control society, and I literally had a group of people smart enough to say, this is our culture. Yeah. This is our language. Of course, you're going to want to try to co-opt that. You want to. So when you say who controls it, I don't know, but I know that would be something for someone who has a different culture and maybe who has different motivations. Of course, they would want to try to control that. It would make sense.
And is that a good thing for it to be controlled? your opinion?
Because that's the beautiful thing. I mean, if you traveled, there's ugly and there's beautiful about America. Mm-hmm. The beautiful thing is that it has kind of worked. Like, there's not too many places in society that you can go with so many cultures, where you don't all have to go to mosque, you don't all have to go to temple, you don't. And so I think it goes against the spirit of the country, really. Like, there has to be. So far, there's been room for people to form their own culture and form their own views. Now, who's running it now? I don't know. To me, it's like a matter of, like, I look at, like, when I was in Chicago with the Bulls and MJ, he was there. And the difference then, you didn't have a kid like, what's that kid's name? I don't even like. Anyway, the new guys would come in and MJ was like the uncle. But now you look at, now you look at basketball, these kids just pop up 24. They're like, who's MJ? You're like, wait a minute. Come on, there's a hierarchy
know
here.
Who he is because of those sneakers.
And what happens? They get out there, they make stupid mistakes
Yeah.
because they're not having any training and teaching. It's like, look, sure, dude, you have more money. They offered you that because the money's there. But talk to some of these older cats. You need to get indoctrinated.
All right, so I'm glad you brought that up. Because that's what I was going to get into. Because I'm glad you brought that up. Because like you said, like, like in basketball, like in all the sports, these are sports, right? I mean, what's a sport? It's a game that you play. You throw a ball through a hoop 100 times. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a sport. I mean, that's what it is. But they get paid a lot of money. There's mad science behind it. You've got to start like at 11 years old in order to play high school, in order to get into college, in order to get into the NBA. And even that, it's only 1 out of 100,000 people who get picked, right? So why isn't that set up for something like music? I mean, again, okay, sports, I get it. It's not an art form, but it is an art form. You know what I mean?
No, it definitely could be an art form.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, is it going to get to the point where, is it to the point now where, because, all right, so, hold on, let me just slow myself down because I'm getting ahead of myself. But what I'm getting to is now music is like falling into that same category because it's become commercialized, because now there's a million DJ schools, breakdance schools. I don't know if there's MC schools, but I'm sure there's like all these people teaching you how to rap. There's all these people online, and it's funny that there's all these people online that say, yo, send me this and send me that, and I'll do this for you, and I got connections here. Because I hit them up. I'm the first one to hit them up and be like, yo, what's your connections? Let me see what you got for me. You know what I mean? And they never reply. You know what I'm saying? Because they're looking for they're predators, man. They're looking for their prey. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not organized, man, because you got to go to college to get into the NBA. Right? I mean, you don't have to. They take people out of high school, but realistically, you got to go to college. They look at colleges before they look at high school kids. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no standard for hip hop, man. And there should be.
But when you say who can get in, it's a controlled, what we would consider get in is controlled. I mean, I think the last one to get in is probably Lupe. Like Lupe is talking that consciousness. How do you get in? He's that 1 out of 100,000. And even that's controlled, and even that, I don't know how he got to Obama's. Remember when he got to Obama's opening and he was spitting that consciousness and everyone was going crazy? You invited him, though you listened to his music.
Yeah, but a lot of people say that he's. I can't say, man, no disrespect to anybody, you know what I'm saying? But, he's kind of watered down, too.
No, you're right. But
really
as far as the consciousness side, when you say someone who got in, at least he was talking about something that was substance. And the first thing that I thought of when you said, who is the keepers? Who are our keepers? The first thing that's crazy that popped in my mind is when we started to lose hip-hop, right, to the MC Hammers and the Vanilla Ices, and that whole thing came with his Pepsi sponsors and all that nonsense, right? Who were the keepers then, right? I think a third base with the video with the baseball bat, like they were trying to protect our culture. Like people really were speaking out. Like the Yo MTV raps with Ed Lover and that, like that was was that the greatest half hour of television ever, man? When people would just come in and Grand Pooba's in there, that freestyle of everybody. They put him in the booth, like they tried to keep it, and what happened? Nah, your show's done. You're canceled, and that was the biggest.
Yeah, but was that their fault
ever.
though, or was that our fault? Because there came a point where I was like, you know what, these dudes are whack.
If you're not running it,
I think
you know what I'm saying.
If you're not running it, how is it? What power do you have?
I see what you're saying, because they didn't have creative control over their shows anymore. I get you, and I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about you know, I want to talk about Dave Chappelle because I think, even though he's not a rapper,
Right.
he's not a producer, he was a major influence in the culture again, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop culture. And he loved hip hop, and he used to always say it too, and he used to always incorporate music into all his skits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know what? I gotta take a break, man. We'll come back. I got a lot of things to talk about. We're sitting here talking about who runs the hip hop engine. And before I take this break, man, is there anything you guys want to get out before we lose our train of thought? Go ahead.
Yes. Well, my whole thing about, you know, we're talking about power and getting out. Get a solo show. That's what I did. Because, I mean, we could spend so much time trying to get discovered, trying to get with a major studio of any type. So maybe it's time for the movement where it's the means of production. Okay, so maybe you're not going to get an audience of 1 million, but you're still an artist, and you don't know where that can go. So I think we as artists have to evaluate, like, how far do we go with that?
Yeah.
How far do we go with that whole thing?
Yeah, but at the same time, did you want to go?
Nah, go ahead. Say what you
At the same time with that, I respect that, but you know, Kadir Latif, we all know Q, and that's my man. I manage him, and that guy is it. Like, he is who is the protector of hip hop. That dude is the protector of hip hop.
That's real talk.
And he's married, has 4 kids, and him and he was just up here in Maryland the other day when we went to, I mean, that was hip hop. You're a gatekeeper of hip hop. That show that you had
that's
with
what's
the
up,
painters
man.
and the
Respect.
DJ and the
Yeah,
beat.
that's
I wish we
what's
could
up,
have
man.
stayed, but we had a.
I wish you guys did stay,
We
man.
were a feature in DC. I would have loved to stay.
Yeah.
But my point in that is that, you know, when you're married and have 4 kids, my man, there's a grind to that. Like, where do you start getting paid? He's got the love. We all have the love of it. You know, like I use the analogy of this is like our kid, you know, and we got to protect it. It's our job to protect it. But when do you start seeing the money? You can't. Eventually, you have to stop. And him and I had a great conversation. He was like, "Man, if I don't make it this year," I'm like, "Don't ever say that.
Don't ever say.
Don't
yeah,
put a
you're fine.
time limit on your goals of if I don't make it next year. Look, I'm going to dedicate a ton of time this year. In the next following year, then I'm just going to donate a little less time.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you do it, because we all get this immediate. I mean, I'm an immediate gratification guy too. We all want it now, give it now, but you got to enjoy.
We've been conditioned, man.
Right, and you got to enjoy the now. You got to enjoy the ride. You got to enjoy the struggles that you did before you made it. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Scene, go ahead.
okay,
Go
jumping
ahead.
on what you were just saying, and I can say that because of me being an artist. And I look at the parallels between my art, and I look at parallels with hip hop music. And when you see cats with in success like Trinidad James and things like that, it's frustrating.
Absolutely.
You know, and I know that I became an introvert for years. You know, granted, I'm an artist. I have an ego. I think I know what I do. That's my craft. I've worked my whole life to do this. And I'll see somebody blow up, and it's frustrating.
And you know you crush
And
them.
I'm like, yeah, really, that's the competitiveness to me. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And it made me become an introvert to where I was doing my stuff, and I realized, really coming out with you guys, with the beat conductors and doing this event, it really charged my batteries again to where it was like, yo, I am the happiest when I'm doing stuff when I blow people's minds. You see what I'm saying? No matter what the venue is. You see what I'm saying? So when I leave from here, I'm going back and I'm pink. That's why I'm here every week. I mean, anything you guys need, I'm here.
That's what's up.
And it's
man.
really
Respect.
because it charged my batteries and it made me get out of, let go of my ego, do what I love to do, and things are coming to fruition for me.
That's
You
what's
see what I'm saying?
up.
I'm not trying to get all preaching and like that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's what it is, and I think that's the attitude of hip hop when it was in the beginning. It was like, yo, I'm gonna make my own thing. I'm gonna make my own thing, and to be happy, and that's when the creativeness, and that's what changes the game.
That's what's
I
up.
think
When
that's
the
in all
juices
aspects
start
of that,
flowing, man, your mojo comes back. I got to take a quick break, man. This is On Beat with OHLOW. We're talking about hip hop and who runs it. We'll be right back. Peace.
Choose radio. Choose a big stereo. Choose loudspeakers, car hi-fi, compact disc players, and electrical antennas. Choose sitting on that couch listening to mind-numbing, spirit-crushing.
Host, I broadcast the news with bias and opinion. That's right, just like all the other news broadcasts. The only difference is I admit my bias. It is the best approach to news broadcasting. If you want to hear a honest news program, tune in to Justice for All right here on WEBR.
Peace. This is DJ OHLOW coming to you live from Radio Fairfax here in Fairfax, VA. we're sitting here talking about hip hop and who runs it. I'm gonna play all VE beats from this point on, man. I know we've been talking about a lot of negative things, and not so much negative, but just talking about a lot of things that ruin hip hop for us. You know what I'm saying? I know we all here grew up on in the golden era, whatever the golden era may be, because I guess everybody's era is the golden era. I read today that the target market for music are 14-year-old kids. And the reason being, there's science behind it. I mean, there's science behind everything, but the science behind it is that when you're around 13, 14, 15 years old, your receptacles, or whatever they're called, your the way you bring in information is very sensitive to music. So whatever music you hear around that time is pretty much what you're gonna like. And you may venture out of that genre when you're older, but for your teenage years, you're just gonna be like stuck on that music, unless there's like something that's drastic that makes you change, go far right or far left or whatever. And that's why they go after kids, man. It's because they know that they can, these kids are like wide open. You know what I'm saying? These 14-year-old kids, they don't have any responsibilities, and they're not little babies anymore. You know what I mean? And they kind of want to get in, they're teenagers, so they feel like, going through puberty and things are getting different and stuff. So they already have like this urge to find out what sex is, to find out what you could do with money, what you could do with your body, you know what I mean, for young women and stuff. And so these people that put out this music, they prey on these young kids. And I mean, I'm going to say it, it's a fact. They prey on young kids. It's really what it is. And I guess, sex sells, man. And if kids eat it up, they're going to keep selling it. But again, we're talking about hip-hop culture. Something else I wanted to bring up too, man, is I wanted to find out what real hip-hop means to you as an individual. I'm going to start with Rambo. Rambo, let me ask you, man, first of all, you don't have to give up your age, but like, what's your age group, man? What generation are you?
I'm in my 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So let us know what's first of all, what's real to you, and then what's real hip-hop?
Just as far as music in general, when you get that feeling when you hear that song for the first time and all down your back, all your hair stands up on your arms, that's what's real to me personally. But the type of music that I prefer could vary from day to day, hour to hour. I feel like music shouldn't be considered the supreme thing in your culture. Like you guys were talking about the hip hop culture, and it kind of bothers me that a lot of the inner city and urban culture is so defined by hip-hop, not only in our society, but what they see
throughout
as far
the whole
as the
world
image
now.
of hip-hop, that's how they look at us, And I feel like music should be music. Somebody's culture and the type of person that they am and the entity that they are should not be judged by the rest of society by that type of genre of music, That's where we're failing off the back. If you want to talk about how you're perceived and how people look at you, if they're judging you by a music video because that's what your culture is now in the media, that's already going to be a problem,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right, man. I'm glad you brought that up.
Because you have no control over it then.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people all over the world perceive Americans to be slime balls. You know what I'm saying? Real talk, man, because everything you see on TV is like, it's like smut. It's all smut. And it's real talk because, I have a lot of little cousins that come here from, other countries and stuff, and their perception of America is so off. You know what I mean? And now that hip-hop is so globally spread, I think a lot of people have been duped into thinking it's something else, man, all over the world. I know a lot of kids that don't even listen to hip-hop, and their definition of hip-hop is way off. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the people that they name, I've never even heard of before. Something else I wanted to ask everybody too is like about trap music. I don't even know what trap music really is. You know what I'm saying? But that's what kids today say is hip hop. They say they're like, oh, you got to come up to date, man. That's hip hop today, trap music. But I'm like, yo, like think about what you're saying, man. Trap, it is a trap. You know what I'm saying? That lifestyle is a trap. You know what I mean? Even if you think like, yo, there's, I'm gonna be like Carlos Brigante, or I'm gonna be like Scarface or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's only a few that make it like that. And if you got to think about it for real, them dudes that make it like that, look at how they look. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at they can fit into those crowds, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really can't fit into those crowds. Jay-Z can do it because, he's got that backing. You know what I'm saying? Your man Kadir put up something on Fedbook, on Flakebook, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. About Jay-Z and how he doesn't, put up much
about
money.
His contribution.
Yeah, no zakat, man. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, and Carfitters don't know about zakat. You know what I'm saying? It's not, it's not, when you go to take business classes, there's nothing about charity. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing.
His presence is charity. That's how gone that dude is.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You know what I mean? You should be honored to be in his presence, right?
That's right. Dude's gone.
And that's the mentality, and that's when the business takes over, man. The business mind or the business entity or whatever it may be. But anyways, man, go ahead.
Isn't that the message that's going about now within rap music? I'm not going to say hip hop, but rap music is like, yo, my business. It's about money. If it's not about money, it's not about anything.
Money.
It's all about
you see what I'm saying?
branding.
So everything, it becomes second, meaning your self-respect, culture, everything about to get that money. That's why there's a plethora of young ladies out here stripping because they think that little chump changes, that's it. Yep. There's nothing else in life to live for.
More,
you know what I'm saying? And it's vice versa. That's why you have all these young boys out there, thinking the blueprint is to go sell dope, get locked up, hopefully get shot.
And it's funny that
who promoted that? You know what I'm saying? Like who again, the gatekeeper to say,
the gatekeeper.
You're real.
Yeah, exactly.
You're what real is, and we're gonna put you on this pedestal, and you know what I'm saying, and we're going to feed this filth to
but
children.
Jay should be a gatekeeper. Jay-Z should be the gatekeeper.
And I thought he was going to be.
I thought he was too.
You know what I'm saying?
I knew he wasn't.
What? He should be the gatekeeper.
I knew
he should be.
Is he qualified?
No, I knew he wasn't because I think he came in the game on a fraud for me personally because when he was rapping with not organized confusion, but when he was doing the blah, 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 totally
with
different.
Jazz on
Jazz on all them, you know what I'm saying? And when Nas, this is one of my reasons I fell out with Nas during that time because he's my favorite. He's one of my favorite hymns of all time. But when he brought in that Escobar fantasy, you know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you brought that up because was that really him or was that?
Nah, that was no.
That was that was a commercial entity that was trying to push their clothing line using his name and him as like the front. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you remember Willie Esco.
Yeah, I remember
like
all that.
that.
Yeah, that all came from like that's the birth of the Scarface and all that stuff coming after that. But I mean, when he made that popular. I remember like he made that popular. I was in college and I was a freshman year and I'm like, well, what is Nas doing?
Yeah.
Like, hold up, man. Like, that's not you.
Yeah.
But, again, a lot of clones came out of that.
Yep.
He made the image of a lot of money came out of that. And next thing you know, it went from being, I sold some dope back in the day to, this fantasy of I have deals with Pablo Escobar. I have deals with, Noriega. And
that's when he hooked up with that's when he did that Firm album when he was with Dre, you know what I'm saying? East Coast, West Coast,
man. I mean it was like you could tell it wasn't real to me.
It was
like
wasn't
hip hop
movie
to me.
Yeah. I mean they said it too. They said it was a movie. That Firm album was supposed to be like a movie, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's about life is about growth. So you just hope that
I think Nas kept growing. I think Nas kept
did.
growing and Jay-Z
definitely.
did.
That's what I was just gonna say. Okay. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Like you would think that there would be a point where Jay-Z would say, okay, it doesn't matter how I got here. I'm here now. Yeah. I have a responsibility now. I have a responsibility to who. I mean, do you know most of his listeners are white people? Yeah. Yet he drops the N-bomb in his music more than anybody. So where is it that you become a gatekeeper? And I see you shaking your head in disagreement. I'd love to hear where you're at.
I mean, first of all, I'm going to take it to like the roots. I don't think we need one gatekeeper.
I didn't say one gatekeeper, but you need a gatekeeper, and then let's get some clones of gatekeepers. But can we start out with one gatekeeper?
I think we need a council of elders.
Who? That's what Olu's asking. Like, who is it?
I don't consider him an elder. Like, I remember I used to work at 2K9 when they used to come through.
Yeah,
and I was like,
who you talking about?
Jay-Z and that whole crew.
Yeah, but the guy has a label. He has the power. He has the influence. He has the money. He can make a difference.
How are you going to define gatekeeper? If we only define it on money, then we don't even need to talk about it.
No.
But that's what we're talking about. It's like, now if you define it on craft, he's no kind of a gatekeeper. And do you remember what, Most Def said? Because I was at that concert. Actually, I loved the group before. It was new for me.
Did?
But look,
Man, I had to take my. You're crazy. Talking about the
she was like,
duck
these
people.
white kids. I loved what they did. I kind of like trap too. I like house too.
Right, well,
but anyway,
that's
but,
what gets
but,
us all going.
But
Those people.
I like
were,
it. I like it. My coworkers like, listen to
Good
this.
for you.
Anyway, I know. But you heard what he said. He said, listen, they wanted me to do this, and I said no. But the interesting thing about his career, and some of the other ones, even though they started underground, because of the structure and because of
the mic, yeah.
And because of the type of artists they are, they have had so much diversity in their career. You know, well, we know he probably has like 10 million kids. Although I have a mad crush on most stuff. I have to just put it out there. If he ever sees this show, oh my God, I have such a mad crush. He does. That's what I hear. That's what I hear. Yeah, that's what I hear. But anyway, so you know, he was more than just a rapper. He was creative. So, you know, he can do Top Dog, Underdog. He can do all these things. So I don't know, like, why give all that power? We don't even do that up on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, you misunderstood, sister. I wasn't saying give him all the power. I was saying who is our gatekeeper? Who is the protector? Most Def could be a gatekeeper without a doubt. You know, to be, but
does he know that though? Do these people know? Do they even know that we put them on a pedestal?
Well, what did he
like
say?
this?
What did he say about the industry? Remember what he said? Well, before you answer that,
actually, look at the video that he did about the Guantanamo Bay when he put himself. Like, that's what I'm talking about. That's a gatekeeper. That's hip hop. He took it outside of music and he made a message and he got it out there, and people are gonna follow him because of his influence and because of who he is. And I would rather take my 12-year-old son to see Mos Def, Yasin Bey, than go to take him to see those duck dudes.
Okay, but
what are they called again? Dancing with Duck?
I liked it. It was dubstep. It was
no. What was the name? What was the name of the group?
I don't know.
It was Ducks Dance.
I don't know.
Dork,
it wasn't that bad.
Well, look,
dance.
But what did he say though? Just real quick, what did he say about the fact that he is not producing? He said something to the effect of, "I know you think I'm lazy, but they want to get me all out there and crack and everything." And I've said, "No, I'm not lazy. Thank you for coming and supporting me in a small venue because I'm not doing it anymore." Isn't that what he said?
But what does that have to do with it being a gatekeeper? KRS-One does small venues all the time. Yo, KRS-One did a show in Buffalo where I don't know if there was 50 people there, and he said, "Y'all get up here," and he rocked it like it was a 25,000 seat arena. I don't know how does that pertain to the? You were disagreeing with me. I don't understand your disagreement. I was saying that Jay-Z should be a gatekeeper, one of the gatekeepers, not the main gatekeeper.
Why? What is
because
does he know the principles of hip hop? Is he following them? Why do we want him to guard?
You don't think Jay-Z knows what they are?
Does he follow what we want to see happen?
Well, look, he's following what?
That's the problem. That's exactly what I'm saying.
He's not, but he should be.
That's what
we're
back
agreeing.
To the growth.
There
has to be growth in life.
But look, he follows. But look, here's the thing,
listen,
though.
I don't like Jay-Z. For the record, I'm not a Jay-Z fan.
No, we're agreeing now.
No, I'm not a Jay-Z fan. I mean, he's got banging beats, but I'm not a Jay-Z fan. But there has to be a point where you take responsibility, and he is in that position of power. He is in that position of money that guy can make a difference. And it's disheartening. And when OHLOW just said, like, man, does he know he has a following? Jay-Z knows he has a following.
No. So, I was actually asking about Mos Def.
I know you do. I know. And I'm just turning it to Jay-Z. Like the same thing. This dude knows he has a following. He knows he can make an impact, and he doesn't. Why? There's a reason why. Man. He's getting paid. He's being told not to. Keep bumping out Tom Ford and all that, All
right, look, this is what I want to bring
stuff.
up, man. You brought up Mos Def. Mos Def had a track. I'm going to talk about Mos Def. I'm going to talk about Dave Chappelle before the show's over. Mos Def, on his second album, it was called The New Danger. The cover, he was holding a gun to his head.
Yeah.
It was his hand, but, like a gun to his head. And I think it was track 4 or 5, I can't remember. He took the Jay-Z Takeover beat, right, that Kanye did for him. I'll never forget this, man. I'll never forget when I listened to this. I was sitting in the parking lot in Falls Church waiting for my man, and it was like a short track. It was called The Rape Over. And the lyrics that he spit on The Rape Over were all about who runs hip-hop. And he said some crazy things. It was so crazy that a few weeks later, they actually pulled the album off the shelves, took that track off, and I think they replaced it, or they just took it off and then put the album back out. And that song was like, I guess they said he couldn't use it because it was Jay-Z's beat or whatever, but he said that he got the rights to use that beat. You know what I'm saying? And he was allowed to. It was really because of what he said. And have you guys heard the track, by the way? You've heard it, right?
Yeah.
You haven't heard it? All right, I'm not going to play it.
I wish we had it.
Yeah, no, I can't play it because it's not edited, first of all, and it's just going to be a big mess. But if people wanted to check it out, it's The Rape Over. You can find it online. I'm sure it's everywhere online. It's called The Rape Over, Mos Def. It was before he changed his name to Yasin Bey. Like I said, it was his second solo album, his second studio album, because he had some other albums after or before that as well. But I also wanted to, so let me get into that real quick. So you guys heard the track. Rambo, have you heard that track?
Yeah, I heard it before.
You've heard it, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that real quick. Some of the things he said, man. Was he spitting, facts? Like, do you guys, first of all, do you guys respect what he says? And if you do respect it, do you believe what he's saying are facts? Anybody?
I will say more than facts. I look at it with all of the stuff that he says. It's medicine. It's what's needed. It's what's needed at the time, and like you said earlier, it's what artists do. They push the envelope. They hold the mirror up to America or whatever the establishment they want to shine light on, and force you to take a look at yourself. I think that I look at it, and that's what I see from that, is that it's medicine. You ain't gonna like it. A lot of people aren't gonna like it, but it's needed, and it's there to open an eye up. Open a mind up, planting the seed.
He dropped somebody's name in that track. I forgot the dude's name, but I think that was one of the main issues.
Okay,
it's because he dropped somebody's name, and that was the guy was part of the label that he worked for, and he was like, "Yo, you can't use my name on that track." So he was like, "You got to pull that track." And he was, again, like you said before, he was a green lighter. You know what I'm saying? He was a gatekeeper or whatever. At that time, he was on Ruckus, and they were getting distribution through Geffen Records. Geffen. We were talking about earlier about Jewish people and how they run the entertainment industry. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure there's facts to that. I don't know if they run every single avenue, but
every single avenue,
every single one.
I'd like to say every
single.
I mean, is that a fact
cranny,
though? It can't be a fact.
Man.
What about TNT or whatever, TBS? That dude's not Jewish.
Ted Turner.
What about the guy that owns Fox?
But he's a friend.
He's
a friend. That's his homie. He's not.
But I'm just saying though. I mean,
money.
I don't know if it's a fact that Jews, the Jewish people. I shouldn't say Jews, man. I'm gonna get messed up. The Jewish people run everything. But interesting fact is, I did my research about this too. Is that when Jewish people came to this country, they weren't allowed to do a lot of the jobs that other people were doing. They were, just like anyone else that comes to this country. You know what I'm saying? They were looked down upon. So they had to come in as entertainers, and they had to force their way in, and they had to create Hollywood and entertain people and make money off entertaining people. You know what I'm saying? So they forced their way in. So realistically, a lot of people that say, Jewish people run the industry, I mean, they created the industry. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it just goes back to, well, if you create a lane, go ahead.
I want to disagree.
Okay.
Because you could easily say the same thing about African Americans. Like, I look just really quick, like my uncles, they used to in Kansas put on these cotton picker outfits and sing for rich white people, and you laugh, but they helped their parents buy a house. And even now when we say, well, I don't want you to be a rapper, but when you go in my hood, ask the kids how many professional football players have they met versus how many surgeons. They're never going to meet a surgeon, but they are going to know somebody. So I think.
But see, kids aren't interested in surgery.
No, they're not interested. But what I'm trying to say is you've had this with other cultures where, like, with African Americans, like, that's what the whole Harlem thing was. Like, we were kind of put into that, to tap dancing and stuff. I think the only thing is that how they started controlling the money part of it.
The money part, yeah. I mean, they made a business out of it. That's it, exactly.
Versus other cultures that are like, they're singing and dancing like black folks, but they're
just not really getting paid.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it's the same thing today, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's the exact same thing. Nothing's changed there.
Just historically with music, I mean, you know how many people are uncomfortable with Ray Charles' music deal that he had? Once it became out that he like, whoa, you own all that? That made a lot of money people in the record industry upset, and like, you can't have that. He had his own rights to music. Like, that was his money. He was the only person to have that deal.
First, right?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, to have that type of deal where that, like, his rights was his rights, not the record company's rights or anything. And that ruffled a lot of feathers. And I think that's something that goes back historically with anything because of our color, and the place that we came from in history. that I think that's the difference between, like I said, when the Jewish immigrants came over, any other side that came over, they could blend in a little bit better. They didn't have the same obstacles. And that's just history.
No, yeah, you're
What I'm
right.
saying? That's just
Yeah,
history.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a
They're
person,
still
they'll look
fair
at
skinned.
they'll look at
Yeah.
a Jewish dude and be like, they're not really be able to tell
Until
I'm
they
more
start
comfortable.
talking.
Yeah. I'd rather give
or
him my money.
until Sunday or Saturday.
True,
They got to
true
choose
indeed, yeah.
Saturday or Sunday.
But we're gonna mask that over and not let you see all that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That we're not gonna put that on our front page and everything. I think that's the history of America.
Do Jews run the record labels? I mean, and all the music? I know for sure that they own a lot of the distribution companies.
Oh yeah, that's part of their machine.
So, I mean, you have to understand everything has to go through those distribution companies.
Yeah.
You don't see too many hip-hop people with their own distribution companies. Even, Cash Money, they still have to go through, Universal for their distribution. So, I mean, anybody wants to change
money,
anything.
that's new money versus old money.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? That's old
Anybody wants to
established money.
change anything.
We'll let you guys run that little bit because
Yeah.
we know where the big money is.
That's why they're called Young Money, right?
Yeah.
The Young Money
know?
crew. What are they called? They're called Young Money, right? These young kids. That's what they go by. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. There's science behind all of it, man. Something else I wanted to talk about too, man. Like, just to stay with the whole Jewish running entertainment. Nas, Mos Def, these people they talk, not always, but they've talked about Zionism and Zionists running, hip hop. And for those who don't know what Zionism is, it's a form of nationalism. Jewish people said that they wanted their own state. You know what I'm saying? They wanted statehood. It's never been done in history. I mean, this is the first time that a state was born off of a religion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd say Jewish people off of European descent.
Well,
You know, 'cause
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what Zionism is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. But see, another part of it too is that the fact that Orthodox Jews can't claim territory. They can't. There's based on religion. They can't say you own anything. You have no ownership over anything. You know what I'm saying? God owns everything, and you're a slave to God. And
that's
so
why they fight against Zionism all the time.
Exactly, yeah.
Right,
I mean, yeah.
I've seen them out
Zionists
there.
and Orthodox Jews fight all the time. Yeah,
I've been out on the rallies and the marches, and the Orthodox Jews are out there with their banners and
they're no joke.
They go hard.
And it was I think it was like 1890s, late 1890s that I forgot dude's name, is Theodore or something, but he's the one that brought this idea about, and it wasn't until I believe 42 that it actually became a state. And anyways, the Zionism part, again, a lot of people talk about it in America because the money that's made through the entertainment companies over here, through Hollywood, through music and whatever else, that money essentially goes back to fund Israel. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even stay here. It goes back. And then if you're an Israeli citizen, you're required to go and become part of the military. You know what I'm saying? You have to do the tactical training and all that kind of stuff, man. So it's like it's a real police state. It's like a real militant state. And that's what people talk about. They're like, yo, I mean, if you're going to be a country, a state, and you're supposed to be based off the religion, why don't you go off what the religion actually says? And so that's an issue, man. Zionism. You know what I'm saying? And people talk about it. And another person who talked about it was Dave Chappelle. I brought that up earlier. And Dave Chappelle, the whole thing about Dave Chappelle, everybody knows he had the hottest show. He recreated Comedy Central. He was the most sold TV series ever in history on DVD. When it came out to DVD, he was the most sold. He had like the highest ratings for that whole year, his first season, whatever, man. Everybody knows. I don't have to even talk about this stuff. And then it says that he walked away from $50 million deal.
$50 million.
And everyone thought that he was crazy because the media said that he was on drugs and that, he went to Africa and
went to
whatever.
Mecca.
Went to Africa and got crazy.
Went
on
exactly.
drugs.
And-
All because he wouldn't take the money?
Well,
What's wrong with this guy?
It's not that he took the money.
he took the money.
He took the money. He
He
just
found-
walked away from the contract afterwards because
smart.
because they wanted to take control of the show. And he was like, yo, I did the first 2 seasons perfectly on my own, even though he was stressed out and it was a lot of work. He was like, yo, why do you guys want to take control now? And then he realized, he talks about this, man. He was on Oprah you know, he did a skit about Oprah. You know what I'm saying? Oprah had his baby. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
I remember.
But then he went back on Oprah and talked about this stuff, man. He was on the Actors Guild.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys know about
I
that.
watched that one, yeah.
And there's some other joints I saw on YouTube that, you know, he comes out and he talks about it, and he's like, yo, you know, he was like, there came a point where I was told I had to cross the line. And if I did cross that line, everything was going to be different. You know what I'm saying? And he talks about how it hurt him morally because he knew it was going against everything that he came up on, because he was a true hip-hop head, you know, and he was making money, but he was doing legit. People paid him because they respected his craft, right? And then when it went out of his hands and they wanted to make something else out of it, he realized that, yo, and this goes back to what I was saying before, he was a gatekeeper. And he really was. I thought of him as a gatekeeper. Everyone did. Everyone still does.
Yeah.
He was a gatekeeper. He was, he controlled the minds of society today, and he was creating the culture at the time, right? Or he wasn't creating it, but he was molding the culture, right?
I think he definitely was creating. He was a game changer when he came out and changed the game.
Yeah.
And everybody had to follow, you know, pay attention.
Yeah, because he was dropping knowledge, man. Like you said before, you know what I'm saying? The hidden element, the fifth element, that knowledge. You know, he was taking all the elements and using them to capture our minds, but then at the same time, he would drop knowledge, and people didn't like that. And so he talks about that too, because, you know, he was keeping it real. He was talking about a lot of stuff that was real that people don't want you to know about. And so he crossed some lines. And you know, again, hip-hop is an outlet for these things. You know, when we take it back, hip-hop was revolutionary. It was, like you said earlier, Barbara, it was rebellious music. It went against the grain. Hip-hop came up at a time where there were black people, and this is, I mean, I may be wrong, but black people just weren't really invited to come out and be part of tours unless you were part of something that was making money. Before that, it was like jazz music. You know what I'm saying? They were making money off jazz artists. They're making money off of R&B singers, soul singers, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Rock and roll. I mean, rock and roll was made up by Chuck Berry. You know what I mean? People forget that, but then they took it away from him. They took it away from everybody.
I think
they gave it to Elvis.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the same trend that's happened and is
Today.
continuing to happen with hip hop today. Not necessarily in the sense that, I mean, it is.
When Eminem came out, he became
the
officially
greatest.
overnight.
Everybody
he became the greatest of all time.
Like, yeah,
Right.
and
Nothing
I'm like, you
can touch him.
disrespecting the whole. That's what I couldn't stand. And I know I'm from an X-Clan era. That blew me up. When Eminem came out, I was like, the dude got talent. I'm not taking nothing away from him.
He's ill.
dope.
He's
Right, he's dope. But when I would run to the average cat, and they were like, Eminem's the best rapper ever. How do you feel about that? Oh, the world's upside down. Tiger Woods the best golfer, and this dude, this dude, the white guy's the best rapper in the world. I'm like, don't disrespect this.
Yeah, exactly.
I would become livid, and I refuse to like purchase anything of Eminem's just out of spite out of that. You know, and I denied
That's how I
myself
felt too. Yeah.
You know, I really denied myself some good music. But on the other hand, I was like, no, that's my morals. I'm standing by this right here. And everybody that was in my circle, they knew how I felt. You know what I'm saying? I was very boisterous about that.
Well, you know, it's funny that you bring that up too, though, because even with Eminem, like, they made him do songs he didn't want to do, right? Like, he had to have that
Yeah, you're right.
hit song, dancey, he didn't want to do it, but you have to have it. Every album had to have that one or two.
I think that's the formula.
That's
the formula that they want.
You have to be versatile.
Right. That doesn't change.
You gotta have a club hit. You gotta have the riding joint. You gotta have one for the ladies. You gotta have all that stuff.
You definitely.
But I really remember him from Missy Elliott. That's how I remember him.
About who? Eminem?
Yeah, before he was even really out like that.
Oh, really?
But I guess my question would be, how does he see himself? Like, has he
That's
ever
a good
put
question.
himself out there? Like, to me, he perfectly falls within the category, except he's white. He was poor as, let's not use an explicative, but it's like his life. I don't know anybody black that lived that life. So I guess that would be the question, like, how does he see himself?
Again, you know, we kind of talked about the growth thing, you know, and there is someone who's grown up right in front of our eyes. And I think there's a guy who got caught up and got, you know, deep in it, didn't like it, took the break, right? And then I think today he is more Eminem than ever. Yeah. Like, I didn't really even follow him during that time. I mean, I just didn't. It's for the same reason. It's just kind of like, oh, here we go. You know, we got another Vanilla Ice. We got another that kind of thing. You know what I mean? I just wasn't feeling it like that. But now, Like listening to this last album that he had, I mean, this guy is bananas. If he didn't move up 3 to 5 to 8 spots on your all-time greats, you're crazy.
Do you think? But is he? And I guess this will be the test, or is he? Is that translating success for him right now? Like, how's his record doing?
No.
This one that he just
well,
dropped?
actually, he's got
You
a
see what I'm saying?
line. He's got a line that says he used to be able to say this. Now he can't say it anymore. We'll see what happens when I'm not that famous, because I'm not as famous as I was. So on his side, and let's tie back that thing again, if we can, Ms. Barbara, about that Jay-Z thing. Now let's look at a gatekeeper of Eminem. Now Eminem produces people and actually puts them out. Like, he's got Royce out there. He's got this Yellow Wolf guy out there. He's got Joe Buddens and Slaughterhouse. He's promoting these boys. He is helping these boys. Now let's go back to Jay-Z. He's not promoting anyone. He's signing deals. Let's look at P. Diddy. P. Diddy, I don't know how this dude does anything, because he is the wrecking ball of the industry. Name one dude or person that he has put out that is alive and that is hot, that made it.
Yeah.
Like, look at some of the people that have gone through him. Mary J. Blige, she didn't really make it till she left. Craig Mack. Craig Mack was a monster, killed his career. Notorious B.I.G. just killed him.
He's like a Barry Gordy of rap.
He's killed. He has destroyed careers. You know, and I think that is when you get back to this gatekeeper, which I love this topic, and the theme of it is like it's almost like, you know, you're signing a will over on who's going to take care of my kid if anything happens to me.
Exactly.
I don't want it to be Jay-Z. I mean, I think he's in a position that he'd be great to do it, but he hasn't gotten it. He didn't grow. Eminem is hip hop.
Yeah.
Eminem knows the history of hip hop. Eminem, like, you know, when you're looking at like the Tupacs, for example, that was a gatekeeper. I mean, even today with his music, that dude is still gatekeeping in the grave.
Yeah.
You know, subhanallah, like that's what's up. And you know, you. So I got a lot of. It's just great to watch growth, and it's great watching this ride of where he is now. Because even when you look at Eminem in interviews now, you could tell he's got it, man. He has knowledge of self. He has knowledge of this culture. He knows what he's messing with now, you know, and respects it. Unlike the thousands of others.
I don't mean to cut you off, man, but we got like less than 2 minutes. So just real quick, man, 30 seconds. We'll start with Cliff over here too, man. Where's hip hop going?
Well, I
don't say the hell.
No. Well, you know, Nas said hip hop's dead, but even that was a great cliche, right? Hip hop just died this morning. Like, hip hop is alive and kicking, and you just have to know where to find it. And with the social media and with all the things that we have access to now, hip hop is alive. You just now have to choose. You know how they always say with TV, if you don't like it, change the channel. Yeah. Hip hop's alive. If you don't like the junk that's out there, don't listen to it, don't buy it, don't endorse it. Real quick, not to get the R. Kelly thing is a perfect example of our power. Like, this guy came out, he's not getting any support. Why? Because he molested kids, and this dude's got. You see his album cover? Like, so until we as a people realize the power that we have, that this dude tried to come back out and we didn't let you go away because you're a freaking pedophile. We have no use for you. We have power with that.
Yeah,
so I invite, you know, real
power of choice,
power
man.
of choice. So now more than ever, we have the power of choice. You get to choose what concert you want to go to. Leave these Lil Waynes alone. I invite you to go to stayonq.com. I mean,
that's what's up. If people wanted to find you,
stayonq.com. Stayonq.com. That my man is a beast, and he is bringing the real hip hop back.
And people want to find you on Twitter, or find Kadir on Twitter.
Kadir Latif. I think it's Kadir Latif. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. Yeah,
Kadir Latif. Kadir Latif on Twitter. So
come on, man, it's your artist. You got
my fault, man. No, I'm elsewhere thinking about something.
That's what's up, man. Same question, man. If you can make a change today, right? What would you do? That's it, man. Like, where is it going, and then what are you gonna do about it?
As far as a change, I would wish I could drop a bomb on everybody, or drop a bomb on the establishment and let it come back from its grassroots. It's not gonna happen. But I will say this in the same vein, like what you were kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying, Cliff, is that jazz is still there. Mm-hmm. You just got to know where to look for it. It's not on top. It's not at the apex that it was. Hip hop is still there. It's not at the apex that it was in somebody's golden era, but you just have to know where to look for it and find it. You know what I'm saying? And you have to want to look for it. That's the difference. And I think it's still hip hop still has the potential to change to change the game, because I think that's what hip hop is. Anything that comes in and changes the game, makes people wake up, do whatever, you know, it changes the game. That's hip hop. And so I think it's still there. It still has the potential of all the strength. It just it doesn't. What I consider hip hop doesn't have the money machine behind it right now, because that's rap right now. That's pop music. You see what I'm saying? It's popular music. That's got all the money right now. Yeah, because it's not our culture that's getting any of the rewards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so that's the difference.
Rap is something you do. Hip hop is something you live, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. That's what's up.
Yeah.
You live hip hop, man. Because in my opinion, you're one of the illest. I don't want to say graffiti artist, but you're just an artist,
you know,
man.
Yeah. I mean, I still dabble in my graffiti, but I appreciate that. Yeah.
And if people wanted to find you and find some of your artwork, I saw your website, man. Scene Art. Yeah, that's what's up, man.
SceneArtStudios.com is the official website, but I got IG is Scene Art 1. Twitter is Scene Art also. It all links together. So
that's what's
Scene
up.
Art, SCENE.
That's what it is, man.
Peace.
Rambo, same question, man.
Man, I feel like
where is it going?
Hip hop is gonna go wherever the culture lets it go. We're only gonna accept, they're only gonna put out stuff that we're gonna accept. People are still buying the albums, people are still supporting it. Me personally, I'm looking forward to my own music, which I'm not gonna consider hip hop at all, since it has so many of these negative connotations, but I still respect the roots and everything. If you'd like to check me out, you can see me on SoundCloud at Rambo the MC. But in reality, it's just another mental property, just like it happened with rock and roll, jazz. I mean, me personally, I feel like I'm the youngest person in this room, and I've seen it happen so many times. So it's really not a surprise to me. Just like any property, it comes from our culture, it comes from the earth. It's always going to be taken and manipulated and made money off of, and then we just go find something else. But the good thing about hip hop and music in general is that it's mental, and it isn't like a gold supply that they can go bum rush and take everything. It isn't like a mineral that they can use up. It's mental, so we're always gonna have something else.
That's what's up, man. Miss Barbara, last word.
Where's hip hop going? I'm very hopeful, because when you look in history, the times when hip hop came about, 80s, horrible. I don't know what you guys think about this time of Obama, but this is the word. I'm an Anacostia, though. So I think that's what breeds it. And then I know, like, just really quick, like, my daughter, she's 17 now, but maybe like 5 years ago, this cat was coming to Saturday school. He was teaching them the business. It's like, it's just a time for growth. Let's teach the kids the business. Also, intellectual property. That's something very new. So people are very keen. So I'm really hopeful. I'm hopeful.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I'm
and
hopeful.
If people wanted to find you and how you keep hip hop alive, how can they find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Girl Keoni, GURRLKEONI, and you can also find me on the web at Weirdo Play.
That's what's
That's
up.
my solo piece.
When you say it, you always look at me like I'm gonna say something.
See, who's a weirdo? Which by the way, I'm revamping him. I have a new director, Sharette Gregg, who's very into the world of hip hop. She's African American, Puerto Rican, so we're really gonna go all out with it with music. She's kind of connected and with blogging and radio and everything. So yeah, I think the youth has things to say. The youth are angry. I will tell you that. In my neighborhood, they are mad angry, like as they should be. Like Anacostia School, no books.
We're in a recession, man.
Yeah, and so I see the kids. I see the youth doing this. So I think we just have to keep hope alive, but we also have to continually have movements where, okay, why wait for a gatekeeper? Start your own thing.
Yeah, exactly. Create your own lane.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying too. That's what's up, man. I appreciate everyone coming out, man.
Thank you.
Too bad for the people that said they were gonna come out and didn't show up. Too bad for the people who are sitting around waiting for somebody to come save them, man. It's not gonna happen. This is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's the platform. Either we can keep it moving, or you could just sit there on the wall, man. You know what I mean? And we'll keep it moving. That's just what it is, man. This is On Beat with OHLOW. This is DJ OHLOW. I want to say peace.